Hello and welcome to the second of Multitude's Agile Foundation coaching videos. I'm Ian Moore, Agile Learning and Development Specialist, and I will be walking you through the basics of the company's hybrid Agile. Every success story is a tale of adaptation, revision and change. Thus said entrepreneur and business magnate Richard Branson. And in this module, we will look at how we are adapting, revising and changing our way of working to what we call a hybrid Agile model. Exploring the epic, a story, offering guidance on how to create an Agile project backlog and the specific way of working of that canvas. We will also be looking at the collaborative process that is the stand-up. Then we will finalise things looking at the retro and the review before concluding with a few words about the forward plan. As you will recall from Module 1, the sprint cycle model is a 2-week time box. The product owner, or in certain squads, the squad member themselves, add tasks known as stories to the product backlog. The sprint planning starts with the squad agreeing priorities from the backlog, creating the sprint goals, and once done, the sprint begins. But what is an epic and a story exactly? In brief, it can be looked at in literary terms. If the epic can be seen as a novel, the stories are the chapters that make up that novel. An epic is a large volume of work, and stories are tasks within that epic, spread across a number of sprints. Whereas a story is delivered within a single sprint, an epic is a higher level description of what the stakeholder wants. Will take more than one sprint to deliver and will have value attached to it, which means its scope can change over its duration. This large-scale project is broken down into small-scale deliverable increments so we can continue to offer value to customers on a regular basis whilst the squad continues to work towards a bigger goal. Storytelling is a visual tool which allows everyone to see the flow of events and how they tie into the epic. If your working pattern does not sit within any of the working ways, create your own. Agile is not prescriptive. It shows you the path and how you want to move forward within it, and that is entirely your choice. So the epic is broken down through the timeline, creating stories based upon the time it will take each element to be completed. The team shares the workload and agrees what is to form part of the forthcoming sprint. They take up the epic broken into stories and agree what happens where and when, dependent upon dependencies and priority. The backlog is not just a simple list. It is a dynamic list which evolves over time. It changes as the squad discovers new information about the product. The backlog doesn't focus on what the team are going to do long term. It gives higher priority and looks at the immediate future. This is because the backlog evolves. The requirements will develop over time, therefore focusing on things that are priority will save time. The higher priority needs should be at the top of the list. Items lower on the backlog should be ideas and thoughts receiving less attention. As the lower items slowly reach the top of the list, more details can be added to them. In this way, focus of the squad is maintained. You might ask, how is this better than the traditional method? Well, in the traditional method known as waterfall, all of the requirements are gathered at the beginning of the project. But if you are working on a complex project, it is difficult to know what all of the complex requirements are going to be before starting the work. As the time passes and the project starts to take shape within Agile, you can come up with new ideas and suggestions which make the project better. The traditional method does not allow this. As well as this, with the passage of time, customer requirements also change. So it makes sense that the requirements of the project change to align with those, as we strive to be customer-centric. The agility of the backlog helps the squad to focus on what is important, saving it from wasting time on less important things. So, Upon which platforms can you host your own or your team squad canvas or to-do list? There are two preferred platforms, MS Teams and Jira, and which platform you use is entirely up to you and the squad. Both follow similar pathways from project through to story or task. But on a foundation level, we're going to look at how to set up your team canvas on Microsoft Teams. To set up a canvas, obviously go into Microsoft Teams. If you've not used this function before, first click on the group you want to create a task list on. Go to the plus sign, click and then install Task Planner. Once installed, it will ask you whether you want to create a new plan or want to use an existing plan. If you've not used the planner before, create a new plan. And this is a planner created earlier, which I've called tasks. When you first enter the planner, you may have none or only one column called a bucket. So, to add a bucket, click on the Add New Bucket icon, top right of the screen. You can name the columns whatever you wish, tasks or keep in view. Then you can add tasks to each column, first by adding your task list or to-do list, commonly known as a backlog within Agile. A backlog is simply a list of things to do over a given period of time. To do that, click on Add Task, title the task, and add details. Once done, you can then add further details, assign it to others in your team or squad, and once you assign it to that person, he or she will get a notification via email. You can also add labels or tags to highlight which area the task sits within. You can set a due date, add other comments about the task, create a checklist of things that need to be done to meet the objective of the task, add attachments or files, which will also populate your file tab on the site. You can also hide the subtasks to save on space on the board. As the subtasks are completed, you can edit or remove them. You can comment about the task to be added, and these can then be seen by others to whom you've assigned the task. And here is an example of a populated and well-worked canvas. Creating your own or team canvas is straightforward and will make your way of working much more efficient. At a basic entry level, that's just about it. But should you want more details, please don't hesitate to ask. As we have mentioned previously, the sprint cycle is a 2-week time box. On the canvas, you have listed what is to be done over the coming weeks and months, and then you plan your sprint. We looked at sprint planning in the previous module. So what happens after the planning and the sprint starting? Well, the second ceremony is a regular update event called the Daily Scrum or Stand-Up. As the name suggests, it is held regularly during the sprint. The squad uses the 15-minute meeting to inspect the progress toward the sprint goal set in the planning meeting and to update everyone on how the work is progressing in the sprint backlog. It is best practice to hold a meeting at the same place and same time every day. Daily meetings are the Agile norm. However, hybrid Agile, squads within Multitude, hold meetings 2 or 3 times per week, which seems to be acceptable and working across Multitude squads. Some non-Agile teams already hold this meeting, but with a different structure or name. Thus, the culture change should be more about content than the event itself. And who attends? Well, within hybrid Agile, the entire team or squad, as well as the product owner and scrum master. However, the latter should be observers, not participants. As mentioned, the meeting should last 15 minutes, which may seem short, but if held effectively, the meeting works extremely well. Keeping the meeting time-boxed means it is focused, relevant and swift. During a stand-up, each member should report on 3 things: what they did yesterday, what they are doing today, and any impediments blocking them from achieving the goals which have been set. By answering these 3 questions, the team get a clear picture of how they are moving forward, what has to be done and what remains to be done. It is the Scrum Master's responsibility to ensure the meetings take place and meet the Agile mindset. The benefits of the stand-up are improved communication, removal of need for other meetings, identification of impediments, promotion of quick decision-making, and improvement of the team's level of knowledge. Traditionally, the daily scrum is a meeting people attend standing up. That's why it's called a stand-up. There are no seats. Creating the ceremony, it was felt a meeting done standing up would save time, as no one sits. It needs to be remembered that the meeting is not an update for the status of work in progress. Rather, it is a meeting where members make commitments to one another. Following the stand-up, the team then move forward, adapt or replan the rest of the sprint. In addition, the product owner will look into removing impediments. The final 2 ceremonies within Agile, even hybrid Agile, are very similar. Some would argue that by definition, to review something is very similar to looking at something retrospectively. Retrospectively is generally to reflect or take a look back at events that took place. Reviewing is the formal assessment of something with the intention of instituting change if necessary. But within Agile terminology, though they may look the same, they are quite different. First, let's take a look at the retro. Then we will compare this process with the review, highlighting the differences. The sprint retrospective, or retro, is held at the end of every sprint. It is a reflective meeting looking back at the previous sprint, offering an opportunity to look back at the work done to see if there is scope for improvement which can be implemented in future sprints. This helps develop the individual or the squad because it is people-focused, making them better after every sprint. The retro is, as with all ceremonies, time-boxed between 1 to 3 hours, depending on the length of the sprint with which it is aligned. This, however, isn't a hard and fast rule. What matters is that the squad look at the process and how it can be developed. It must be noted that the squad members should not wait until the end of a sprint to make improvements. All squad members reflect upon what went well and what can be improved. Once everyone has the ideas and suggestions, they are then discussed between the squad. When the retro reaches its conclusion, the squad should agree upon tangible actions to develop the team. Agile Scrum is about constant improvement. The squad should always be open to incremental change. The retro not only allows squads to discuss changes, but gives them ownership of the process and the ability to affect those changes to the betterment of the development process. This is the sprint retrospective. But how does it differ from a sprint review? Well, in brief, the structure, timing and length of both are almost identical. But the major differences are: the review takes place at an agreed time and place during the sprint. The retro always happens at the end of the sprint. The review is time to demonstrate what has been completed. The retro offers time to look at how to improve. The review is about product. The retro is about the individual, the squad, and their process. The review is about developing based on feedback from customers and colleagues. The retro about what went well and how to develop the squad. The main difference is in who should attend the ceremonies. And that is a look at the sprint retro and the sprint review, which concludes our exploration of the roles, structure, the manifesto, the ceremonies on a foundation level. So what happens next? Well, this is potentially the toughest element of an agile transition, getting from traditional waterfall to hybrid agile. How can you succeed in your agile transformation? Across a large organization, it's a little bit like trying to herd cats while blindfolded. Coaches and trainers are tasked with aligning a number of portfolios across the company, making crucial decisions with poor visibility, the plans, priorities, dependencies and progress to meet business needs which change day by day. Within Multitude, you may already be a squad member in Feratum, Sweetbank or Capital Box. You might be part of a high-performing team, but some are not as aligned as we would wish. This is creating what is called islands of Agile. There is a strong degree of alignment, but there's also a lower degree of business alignment. It is commonly known as fragmented Agile. In this, we see poor communication, decision-making, and misaligned teams. At the same time, we have Agile in some areas of the business, but not in others. This results in impediments and issues with processes and progress. So, there is alignment in some parts, but low engagement in others. This is best known as frustrated Agile. However hard we try, this results in missing release dates and quality will suffer. The transformation is about you. This is where you come in. The Agile transformation relies upon your experience, your knowledge and your skills within Multitude. Taking ownership of your own part of the transformation is essential. We know the tribes, the squads within them and the chapters are formidable. We have the platforms. We have used the best consultants in this journey. Multitude's Coaching Guild will continue to support with coaching and training. But we need you to take ownership. We need your leadership skills to place Multitude at the forefront of digital finance. This journey can only take place if you take ownership and start to put the ceremonies and mindset in place. Start by creating your own canvas. Then develop that with your team or squad. Thank you for watching the presentations. Let's drive the Agile mindset, adopt the way of working and move forward together. Have a great day and keep rocking and rolling.